What was your experience working on that film like? You know, and was it kind of your Hollywood break? Do you consider it like your Hollywood break into?
100%, 100% was my Hollywood break. I mean, honestly, I was pretty terrified most of the time because arguably the greatest actor of my generation, Phillip Seymour Hoffman,
Of course.
right, and not arguably, like the greatest actor of my generation in the English-speaking world, I would say. I would say so. With like absurdly a smaller part than I had in that movie. Although, boy, he indelible in that film,
He
as he
is.
was in everything. But I was all of them. You know, Gwyneth, Matt, Jude, Kate, Blanchett. Let's not forget her.
Of course, of course.
Phil. Like they'd already kind of broken through, and I'm like this kid who's been in a show about lawyers on on like the second channel on the BBC, and I was terrified. If I'm completely honest, it was a lot it was a lot, and I I did the best I could. I I I feel like my sort of my fear didn't hold me back. I mean, Anthony Minghella, may he rest in peace, was one of the most gentle and creatively igniting people I've ever had the privilege of being around. I mean, it's not like I was thrown to the wolves and left to my own devices. Anthony was fully aware of, like, you know, like this was quite a step up for little old me. And he was, you know, he created the conditions for me to be able to do my job the best I could at that time. But I did, my abiding memory is just being like, also the other thing you've got to remember is, you know, it's very, very location heavy movie. And, you know, it's so, in some ways it's like a love letter to Italy. I mean, that was, Anthony would have been the first to admit, like, he makes The English Patient, he wins 9 Academy Awards. And then, like, they're like, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, actually, and so it was something that also can never, in this film economy of this day and age, like, it was a big budget art house film, which they don't exist anymore. They just don't. I mean, they barely existed then. They certainly don't exist now. So he, you know, it was like, I mean, you'll have to look up what the budget was, but it was, I'm going to say in the 60 to 80 million dollar range, which is a lot for something with an anti-hero at the center, like a sexually ambiguous anti-hero who murders people, and we, you know, very location heavy. And so a lot of the time we're filming in very public spaces in some of the most famous locations on the planet. Like, I did my first day of filming, I was doing a 4-page scene with Gwyneth and Kate at the bottom of the Spanish Steps in Rome in the Piazza di Spagna. And they'd convert overnight. We rehearsed it the night before. It was meant to be like a cafe terrace, and we'd rehearsed it the night before, and then overnight they changed every single shop front to 1958 or whatever it was. And we came in the next morning, rehearsed again, so just to kind of lock down where they were going to put the camera. And then we went off for hours so they could light, and then when we came back, there were thousands of people watching, thousands, and they're Italian, so they're not quiet, like, and you know, and it's hot as hell, and I'm generally wearing a duffel coat and a sport
Yeah.
coat, and so it's hot. That my experience in that film was a bit like trying to do street theater with, you know, Mick Jagger, because you're invariably doing a scene with one of the most famous young actors on the planet. There's a minimum of a couple of thousand people who just stand it. They always had to rope off the areas. I shot a scene with Matt in St. Mark's Square in Venice. So there's already teeming with tourists. And then they roped off this area, and the people were like 15 deep. And we're just trying to do this thing. And so it was a lot to cope with for me. And I did my best. I haven't seen it in years. I know that one very, very rarely gets to be in any movie which truly, truly stands the test of time and that one could say is like an all-time classic. And that's probably the maybe one other, but that's one of maybe two I've been in that, like, people I think will be watching that movie 50 years from now.